Hey, my name's Scott Foster from the Sales and Marketing team at Endurance Doors. Today I'm going to be giving you a demonstration on how to place your first order on our online ordering system. As you can see, if you head to endurancedoors.co.uk and hover over trade, you can then choose to order online now. By clicking that, it'll take you to our online door designer, and up in the top right hand corner there's the option to trade login. As an Endurance customer, you'll be given your own unique logins to this system, and this is where you would pop those in. For today, I'm going to be using my trial account. And one thing to mention at this point is on my trial account, everything is costed at gross price with no trade discount applied. So please do bear that in mind at the end. When you see the prices, don't fall off your chair. That's not what you'll end up paying. In this particular instance, I'm going to order a single door with a single side light on the left. So I've selected the single door. I then choose side light on the left, but there's all of these different configurations of doors and side lights and top lights that you can choose from. But keep it simple, a door with side light on the left. You then can choose from our entire range of, I think it's over 80 Endurance door styles now. In this particular instance, I am going to choose a Alto in anthracite grey, and it's automatically now serving me all of the glazing options in which I can choose from. And I am just going to select Virtue. This is a particularly popular combination of door style, glass and colour, and I'm going to design a door that we do a hell of a lot of. Up in the top right hand corner, you can see instantly we've got some errors. We've got missing dimensions, we've got a Euro surcharge, which I'll explain in a moment, and we've got invalid side light glass. So our first point of call is to populate those dimensions, because without those we can't manufacture the door set. Over on the left hand side, you've got all of these various different options to make changes to your door design. So we're going to go shape and dimensions initially. Here I can change the door type or frame design if I wanted, but we're going to stick with this. And you have your overall width, height, and then door frame to width. These maximum dimensions here, it's worth noting, these are including a 45mm add-on to the left or right or top and bottom. So always bear that in mind. Your absolute maximum dimension without those add-ons will be these dimensions here minus 90mm. So in this particular instance, we're not going to go crazy wide, we'll go 1500. We'll go a standardish kind of height. Each time I'm clicking update, at which point you can see these errors are slowly dropping away here. And if we go a 950 width door. So all of those errors now removed, including that Euro size surcharge. The Euro size surcharge is in there for door slabs that are over a certain width. Your super wide doors require a super wide slab, at which point we do charge a surcharge over a certain width. I'll just demonstrate that now. So if we go 1035, you can see it's now telling me this is a super wide door and a Euro surcharge is going to be applied. In order to acknowledge that, I need to head to door options and simply just hit yes, at which point the Euro surcharge is applied to the door. Again, don't fall off your chair at these prices down in the bottom right hand corner. Gross prices, not net of your discount. In this particular instance, I don't want a Euro size door, so I'm just going to swap that back to 950. Now it's telling me the door is not Euro sized, and I'll just hit that, change that to no. So that's all of our dimensions sorted. It's worth mentioning, anything that I change, if I stick some knock-ons or if I stick a low alley threshold on here, these are the dimensions of the overall door set. It will simply account for any changes that you make, and the overall height and width will not change. That's how high it's going to be, that's how wide it's going to be, no matter what changes I make to it now. So we move on to door options. Worth noting, you can have a different colour on the internal if you choose to do so. It automatically populates it as white. I'd say probably 70-80% of everything that we do is white on the inside, so it selects white automatically, but you can have any colour that you want. In this instance, we're going to go white. With your Virtue, no backing glass is required. So this particular style, it's particularly opaque, it's a sandblasted design, therefore no backing glass is required. Now I'll just give you an example of one that may need a choice of backing glass. So if I say, for example, just went patterned, I would then need to choose backing glass for that. But I'm going to stick with Virtue because we do loads of Virtue in this particular design. Your drip bar, referring to the drip bar down here, is automatically colour matched to the door. I can't imagine any scenario where you want to change that, but if you did want to do that, you can change to gold or silver. Me personally, I'd leave it as matched. Door hinges, you can have them left, right, and you can have your door open in or open out. This particular example, we'll leave it open in. Here you can also order your extra keys. So I want a couple of extra keys with this particular door. And you can see down the bottom corner, it's added that cost on there. And that pretty much completes our door options. So we can move on to hardware. With your hardware, we just introduced a new range of pewter and forged black hardware. If you were wanting to gain access to things like the monkey tail handle, we've got a couple of kind of old school heritage looking other handles and knockers. You would go here, select the colour that you're looking for. This is going to look weird on this door, but I'll demonstrate it anyway. And all of a sudden I have access to a noble handle, regal handle, monkey tail, because we can offer those in that pewter. Unless I'd changed that colour to pewter, I couldn't see those because we don't offer them in any other colour other than the pewter and the forged black. In this particular instance, I'm going to go with a pull handle though, because this heritage type stuff is going to look really weird on this modern door design. With your pull handles are stainless steel, and the best colour match for stainless steel pull handle that we offer is graphite. At which point you can see I can't have that monkey tail handle anymore, so it's taking that off me. And handle I'm going to choose is 1200mm pull handle. At which point we've got a problem. Supplied as standard with an endurance door is the Winkhouse multi-point true lock, which is a traditional lift and lock to fire the hooks. Obviously we don't have a lift handle here, so we need to choose from either the AV2, AV3 or AV2E, which is a series of auto locks. Basically you shut the door and it locks itself without having to lift the handle. I am going to choose the AV3. If I wanted an AV2, the AV3 is similar in its operation, but it's got the added functionality of a day latch. So you can flick a little switch and it stops the door from locking behind you. But what we sell most of is the AV2. So we'll go AV2 here. At which point you can see that error has dropped away. But it is warning me that pull handles don't complete with a pull knob for the inside. So I'm going to need to select an internal handle to stop this turning up and having no way to open it from the inside. So, as I mentioned before, graphite is the best match for the stainless steel pull handle. I have a graphite pull knob, and you can see that warning has now gone. It's worth mentioning at this point, you can have errors up in the top right hand corner. An error will stop you from being able to proceed with the order until it's been corrected. You can also have warnings up in the top right hand corner. A warning is more for your information. I just want to make sure you're aware of this, but you can proceed with the order with a warning against it. So also in here, you can select a letter plate. This is going to look really smart with a graphite architectural letter plate. So I'm going to have an architectural one, at which point if I want that down the bottom, I can have it down the bottom. One thing that is worth mentioning at this point, all of these images are for illustration purposes only. It's not to say that your letter plate is going to be positioned there. That would be a particularly stupid place to have that letter plate. But it's to kind of give you an idea as to the configuration of the door. Also in terms of dimensions and things like that, if I was to change the dimensions of the door, I'll just demonstrate this. So say I wanted the door width at 0.35, you can see it changes the proportion of the door. But again, it's for illustration purposes only. This is not necessarily exactly how the door is going to look. So change that back down to 950. and hardware options. So I can move that letter plate if I like, stick that back up in the middle. You can have a security chain if you choose to do so. You can also order numerals to come with your door at this stage, and hinges is worth delving into in a little bit more detail. As standard, we offer white flag hinges, and those flag hinges are the Miele flag hinge. Some of our installer network absolutely love them because of the amount of adjustment that you've got on those hinges, left and right, up and down. There's a hell of a lot of adjustment on those hinges. We also offer a butt hinge, which is the Challenger 3D from Era. Before too long, we're also going to be introducing the SFS hinge. Again, just because we've heard fantastic feedback from it from some of our installer network, so we're looking to introduce that into our range. Hopefully by the time you've watched this video. Also included in here will be the option to have those SFS hinges. In this particular instance, I'm going to go graphite flag hinges because I've got that graphite letter plate, which I think that'll look pretty smart. So good graphite flag hinges there, which completes our hardware options. So now I'm just going to head down to profile options, and in here you can select from between a 52mm frame, 72, where you can have the ovalo, or what we call the edge frame, the kind of the fancy detailing in rather than just a chamfered. In this instance, I'm going to go 72mm, but if you ever want to do a super narrow door, you can buy yourself back an extra kind of 40mm there by going with a 52mm frame rather than a 72. But in this instance, not bothered. The frame colour, one of the key USPs of the Endurance door is the fact that we offer the foiled slab. And with that foiled slab, we foil the frame in the same material, which means that you do not get a colour discrepancy between the slab and the frame. It's a really strong USP of ours, and it makes the door set look super high quality. At the moment, other door manufacturers just simply cannot manufacture that. So in this particular instance, I'm going to swap that frame. I'm going to go anthracite grey on the outside, white on the inside. And there we go, that looks smart. Here you can also add add-ons. One thing that is worth mentioning is the butt hinge. There's 25mm worth of clearance from the back of that butt hinge to the edge of the frame. So in examples where the plaster line might be kind of less than that, you may need to add a 15mm knock onto the hinge side, at which point it's not appropriate on this particular design because the hinge side is coupled to the side light, but it may be something worth considering when surveying. A 15mm add-on might be needed. If you choose to opt for butt hinges, you've got 30mm worth of clearance. So just bear that in mind when you are ordering and you're surveying. Make note of the plaster lines. In this instance, I don't want any knock-ons on there, but as I mentioned before, if I was to choose to do that, it would automatically resize the overall door set to account for that. Your sill, I'm going to bang a 150 sill on here, and it's worth mentioning at this point, with your sill, it's automatically done that as white, which ain't going to look very smart. So I'm going to change that to anthracite grey on white to match the frame of the door. And you can choose between a low PVC or a low alley threshold. And in this instance, I'm just going to go with a silver low alley. One final thing on profile, because we offer the foiled slab, we offer the foiled frames, you can also order perfectly matching foiled finishing trims to complete your Endurance door installation. So I'm just going to order myself a set of finishing trims, 25mm D trim, but I can choose from any of these. There we go, anthracite grey. And this particular installation I think is going to require 3 2.25 metre lengths. We only supply these in 2.25 metre lengths, so please do bear that in mind. As you can see, down the bottom it has added the finishing trims onto my little billing. Again, just to recap, that's a gross price there, not the price you're going to pay, so don't panic. If I wanted to order a set of extra finishing trims, say I want some white finishing trims to finish off the job on the internal side, I can do the same there. As many finishing trims as I want. That covers off the profile options section, which only leaves us with side light and top light options. And to recap, we've still got these errors here. That warning, completely ignore and still proceed with the order. That needs to be removed, but we've got invalid side light glass, and the reason it's invalid is because we've not picked it yet. So this side light glass, first of all, I'll show you how to order it unglazed. If you want to order it unglazed, I can go to side light glass, select unglazed. At this point, I still need to take that to unglazed, at which point the price is reduced because we're not supplying the glass along with that. But in this instance, I do want to order with some side light glass, so I'm going to change that. Here I can select from low E or satin glass. One thing to bear in mind is a door set at this width. I'm not sure if that side light is going to take it over 475. It doesn't, but I'm going to demonstrate to you what happens if it does. So if we go 1600. And I select that, please select satin at more than 475 because this side light is wider than 475. So I need to select that, at which point the error disappears. In this particular instance though, I want to order an ornate low E with some backing glass. So I'm going to pick that and go with Stipulite. And that pretty much covers off our order, at which point I can either choose to quote the door or order the door. I'll show you how to quote it. Say I want to quote a customer this and refer back to it later. Customer A, I'll pop that in there as my reference and generate that quote. At which point, if I choose to view the quote, here's my paperwork and it's there with a price that it's going to cost me as the installer to buy. If I want to make any amends, if I click in the top and press enter, all of a sudden I can make amendments to that particular door. In this instance, I haven't got any amends to make, but I do want to order the thing, at which point I can stick in a reference for myself. So again, customer A, whatever I'm going to refer to this particular order as, and that's the reference that you'll use to communicate with us about this order. And I selected delivery date. These delivery dates at the moment, this is simply just a requested delivery date. It's not confirmed. This doesn't take into account the capacity that we've got on our distribution fleet or capacity through the factory. This is more of a, I'd like the door at this date ideally. Keep an eye on your order acknowledgement for your confirmed delivery date. The order acknowledgement will have your kind of your steadfast date on there. But in this instance, I'm just going to select a random date. In here, if I wanted anything a bit weird and wonderful that isn't doable on the door designer, I could write a note to say, please do X, at which point all of these orders are still process checked by our process checkers, and at which point they would identify that note and they could make amends to the price, make amends to the specification that would cater for any notes that you want to pop on there. And all that is left to do is to place your order, which I'm not going to do in this instance. But you can go in here and view all your previous quotes and orders. Ignore these are just ones that I've done as tests in the past. And that, I think, pretty much completes the session on the online door designer. Hopefully now you've got all of the information that you need in order to place your first endurance order. If you do need any additional support, or you do need somebody to kind of sit through and talk you through your first order, your area sales manager should be your first point of call, and they should be able to provide you with a screen share and do a bit of a session and order that door along with you. Thanks for your time. Cheers.